Hello and welcome to the Ecomodernist channel. I'm Carl Pauls. I'm joined by Gabriel Ignetti and our special guest. We're speaking with Rainer Klute, who is a longtime leader of Nuklearia, a pro-nuclear activist organization in Germany. Welcome, Rainer.
Thanks for having me.
So, can you tell us what is Nuklearia, other than being an activist organization, and what your situation in Germany and Europe is with regards to nuclear power?
Yeah, Nuklearia is a registered association and has been founded in 2011 as a consequence of the Fukushima nuclear accident. By that time, a lot of false information was spread in German media, and I felt very angry about that and thought, well, one should have to counter that with proper information. And that led to the foundation of a working group within the Pirate Party first. And 2 years later, in 2013, we founded Nuklearia as an independent organization, a registered association, and we grew to almost 600 members by now.
That's fantastic. I know that I see the value in organizing within political parties. That is extremely valuable. In Washington State, United States, we have just started that process, and it is long and frustrating sometimes. So, Rainer, what are the balance of forces between pro and anti-nuclear power activism in Europe right now?
Okay. Well, the tide is clearly turning to the pro-nuclear side. This is a direct consequence of the Russian war against Ukraine, because the security of supply has become an issue. Security of supply is something we have taken for granted in the past, and now we had to learn it is not a given, but you have to do something to have that security. And this is where nuclear comes in. I don't have to explain that, I think. But many governments in Europe got that by now, and are changing their mind and are doing concrete actions that fosters nuclear in Europe. Germany is, as you surely know, is on the other side. Germany phased out their last 3 reactors in April, and since then, Germany is more dependent on its neighbors. Month by month, we had to import more electricity than we could export to our neighboring countries. So we are depending on them. This is one thing. And the other thing is, of course, that we are driving prices up, because instead of producing clean, reliable electricity by our own nuclear fleet, we now have a demand. We are on the demand side, and this drives prices up not only in Germany, but in our neighboring countries too.
Fantastic. This kind of demand problem is often seen as inconsequential by renewables advocates, but of course, we're not able to be in an isolated grid always, and so while they'll brag about very clean electricity on certain days in certain areas, it may not represent reality. A recent poll in Germany has found that roughly 65% of Germans support nuclear power, and you have a strong opposition to the use of fossil fuels. However, Germany's been moving in the opposite direction, keeping coal plants open, continuing to mine brown coal. What do you think about that?
I think the population, the German population, is ahead of its government. We have a government that consists of the Social Democrats, the Greens, and the Liberal Party, and the energy and industry ministry is headed by Robert Habeck, who is a green minister, and the primary project of the Greens is to phase out nuclear. And they have succeeded in that, and now they do everything to keep that status intact, as they see it. But I don't think that this politics can last forever. Unfortunately, we have the next general elections in 2025 only. So we have to bridge another 2 years until a turnaround is possible. And well, we shall see how that will turn out. Energy politics is, of course, not in the focus of most people, I believe. There are many more topics. So it's not a given that the current government will be voted out, but yeah, that's, I think, the next chance we have to change something.
So I know that with the Green Party in charge, your government is likely to sign on to a renewables pledge at the COP28 meetings in the UAE. What's your thoughts on COP28? What opportunities do you see in this next climate meeting?
I see large opportunities for nuclear because the world has learned, as I explained before, that we need nuclear if we want to fight successfully against climate change. We need this clean and reliable and plentiful energy. Renewables might come as an add-on, but they can't form the basis of our power supply. That's not possible. The wind doesn't shine always, and the wind doesn't blow always. These are so simple facts every kindergarten child can understand, but unexplainably German politicians and other politicians too don't get that. And I'm afraid that we have to make some very serious experiences to until this lesson has been learned. That's my fear for Germany.
If you were able to speak to your country's delegates at COP Direct, what would you ask them to do instead of a renewables, or perhaps in addition to a renewables pledge?
Of course, to reactivate those nuclear plants that can be reactivated. A US study has, which was published in summer, says that up to 8 nuclear plants can be reactivated with more or less effort. And interestingly, the operator of the ISA 2 power plant has, as more or less reliable rumors say, have negotiated with the government behind closed doors about reactivating ISA 2 and supplying power for 6 euro cent per kilowatt hour. which would be, I mean, Germany's industry is very much under pressure regarding electricity prices, and Robert Habeck, the economy minister, wants a so-called industry power price for energy-intensive industries, meaning power price at a fixed rate of, I think, 6 cents per kilowatt hour. But that would be a subsidy. The taxpayer would have to pay. And so there is a strong opposition and discussion within the government. And now, if ISA 2 could provide electricity for these 6 cents per kilowatt hour, that it should be easy for the government to accept that offer. Yeah, to have a lot of energy for a low price, but they refused. And this shows clearly that the primary target of the Greens is to keep nuclear out at any cost, at the cost of the welfare of Germany. And that makes me angry and sad at the same time.
So, if I understand you correctly, the plan for one of the ministers, perhaps the economic minister, is to subsidize the electricity cost for businesses so that you don't face the prospect of businesses fleeing Germany. Is that right?
Exactly, yes. And I forgot the second part of my answer. You asked what I would require from German representatives. So I said, at first, reactivate those plants that can be reactivated, and then, of course, build new nuclear power plants. Even if we can reactivate 8 of them, that would not be sufficient to phase out coal. We need more nuclear if we want to have a clean power supply like France has or Sweden.
Of course, we know from the IPCC AR6, as many nuclear opponents love to point out, that new nuclear will not appear by 2030, supposedly, and this is reflected in this AR6 costing of nuclear's performance dollars per ton of CO2. However, I don't think there is any country other than Germany where the math in terms of dollars or euros per ton of CO2 is so enormously positive. Restarting 8 reactors that are ready to go at a moment's notice, this would be outstanding.
Not quite at a moment's notice.
Of course.
At some plants, the generators have been demolished, so that would require some up to some years for some of the plants to get ready again.
Okay. So it is like an extended outage or extended upgrade.
Yes. But of course, it would be much faster than building a new plant from scratch. Yeah, and most of those plants still have their operating license. So all this licensing stuff we would not have to deal with. There's just the German atomic law that hinders the plants from running. Yeah, if the government really wants to reactivate them, perhaps the future government, they just would have to change that one sentence in the Atomic Act, and the operators could do their part to get the plants online again.
Go ahead, Gabe.
From what I've heard, an awful lot of the nuclear plants in Germany were just destroyed when they were shut down. They were just demolished. I mean, how many Or what percentage have just been demolished rather than just, mothballed or whatever?
They are not demolished. According to the law, if you want to make significant changes to a nuclear site or nuclear installation, let's call it this way, including nuclear power plants, of course. So if you want to make a significant change, you need a permission to do so, and you have to apply for that permission, and then that permission will be scrutinized by the authorities, and this will take time. And until that time has passed and the permission is supplied, you are not allowed to do that change. So, and this is the situation many German nuclear power plants are in. The operators want to dismantle the plants, but they are not allowed to. They only can make certain steps that don't affect the nuclear part of the plant, or within the nuclear part, they are allowed to make changes that can be reversed in a certain time, I think within a year or so. So, but basically, the main components are all there, and they are unaffected, more or less.
Yeah. So in other words, if the government wanted to, they could allow those plants just to, just get back in shape and come back on again.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this too. I mean, does the fossil fuel industry that you know of, does the fossil fuel industry play a role in causing these plants to shut down so that they can make more money?
Of course, I don't have hard facts, but there are three operators, nuclear operators in Germany. One is E.ON, or their nuclear daughter Preußen Elektra. They are operating the Isar 2 plant, and Preußen Elektra is going for nuclear. They want to reactivate them, and the E.ON CEO Leo Birnbaum said that the nuclear exit was a grave mistake. So they are for nuclear. On the other hand, companies like RWE, they have a lot of coal generation in their portfolio, and I have never heard something like that from RWE. They want to demolish their nuclear plant, Emsland, as fast as possible. And yeah, I think this is due to a coal interest. They know exactly that coal won't go away with nuclear on the halt. Germany is depending on coal and gas as far as gas is available. Finance Minister Lindner recently said that the coal exit, which the coalition planned for ideally 2030, that would be a dream, and energy must be available reliably and cheap, more or less, whatever cheap means. But a coal exit by 2030 was a dream, Lindner said. So this is pretty clear from a physics standpoint. If you want to have reliable electricity, you have to have reliable generation, and without nuclear, there's only coal and gas, and fossil generation is the only way to go for Germany, at least. We have a little hydro and a little geothermal and biomass, 14% or so. We have biomass, but biomass is theory. In theory, it is low carbon, but in practice, it's carbon intensive. So yeah, if Germany wants to have that, wants to have a clean electricity grid, we have to go into nuclear again. There's no other alternative.
Yeah, well, I know there's a very powerful environmental movement. Does that movement, is it possible that that movement could succeed in pressuring a big change in terms of keep it in the ground, shut it down and all of that, so that to force the government's hand to stop the use of coal and even gas?
I don't think so. Because the practical requirements are that you have to have reliable electricity. And even the Greens get the old coal plants and get them on the grid again to keep our lights on. Even the Greens. I mean, who else would phase out coal if they could? But they can't. Without nuclear, they can't. They can do what they want. It is impossible to phase out coal without nuclear.
Yeah, I realize that, but I know too that most environmentalists don't really think it through. And that when you speak to an awful lot of environmentalists, it's like shut it down, keep it in the ground. That's it. And because the climate is going to kill us all, blah, blah, you know what I mean? The whole shtick. And so, I mean, I realize what you're saying, and that's correct, but and I know that I respect what you say, but it seems that worldwide there might be some potential for them to actually be a force for good, and especially in terms of coal,
I mean, yeah, it's difficult. In our experience, when we take part in Fridays for Future rallies, when we speak to normal people, to other protestants, they are quite open for nuclear. And when we explain that nuclear is low carbon and all that, and is the ideal fit for a successful fight against climate change, they are open for that message and want to hear more. But on the higher ranks of the Friday for Future organization or non-organization, they are more ideological, stubborn, and don't want to hear that solution. They don't want to. They can't think out of their anti-nuclear box, I think, and don't want to do that. I don't know why, because if I want to fight climate change, I have, and I am on a fact-based approach. I can't neglect nuclear and suppose and behave as if it doesn't exist. So I can't understand that. But I don't think that that this approach is practical, and it is unthinkable to phase out nuclear and coal at the same time.
Oh, it's impossible.
And, if it is, of course you can if you want to go back to the Middle Ages, but that won't happen. That won't happen. As soon as let's consider make a thought experiment and consider that Germany would switch off its coal plants, and then we won't have enough electricity. Or sometimes we would have wind and solar, not speaking about what you have to do to ensure grid stability. Let's put that aside. but just from the generation only, sometimes we would have electricity and sometimes we won't, at least not for everyone. And that would cause an outcry, and no government would want to face such a situation, not even a green government.
Yeah.
So we are glued to coal for the next years, if not for the next decades, until we come to our senses and build new nuclear power plants. Well,
yeah,
and that will take some time, of course. Yeah. So it won't surprise me if that would take decades, or it will take decades to phase out coal completely.
yeah. And like I know that Eric Meyer, I believe you know him, right? He one time they were forcefully kicked out, I think even by the police or something, out of a climate demonstration. Does that atmosphere still exist? Is it that extreme still?
Not in general. We have sometimes there are situations that other Protestants destroy the signs we have. We had two such experiences. That a sign one of our people carried was destroyed by other Fridays for Future Protestants, but this is not the general opinion. No. In general, we have peaceful discussions. We don't agree in every aspect, but violence is really a rare exception.
Right. And are you integrated in some way into the climate movement at all?
Yes, of course. Depends on what you call climate movement. I understand Nuklearia as part of a climate movement insofar as we want to promote nuclear as a climate-friendly energy solution. And we have applied at the German Environment Office to become a registered environment organization. Of course, they refused to register us, but we have gone to the court and have now an ongoing lawsuit against the Federal Republic of Germany, and I hope we can win that.
All right, thank you so much for being here, Rainier. What are your closing thoughts? What is your hope for the next few years, especially, is what I'm interested
in? My hope is that the Germans recognize what is done in other parts of Europe. Other European countries turn to nuclear for the first time. For example, Poland is building new nuclear power plants. Those are their first nuclear power plants, and they are going into nuclear big. They are building big reactors, small modular reactors. The siting permission for the first power plant has just been issued, and the following steps will come in due course, I think. Italy phased out nuclear after the Chernobyl accident. They now want to get back into nuclear. France is expanding their fleet. Belgium stopped the nuclear phase out. Other countries are building nuclear or extending their nuclear capacity. Romania, Bulgaria, and some more. And so I think the Germans will notice that, and they will notice how the electricity prices develop and which influence nuclear has on them. And the German government, Germany, is getting more and more lonely. We have a powerful nuclear alliance in Germany, which in Europe, which has been founded by France, and there are 16 member countries of the nuclear alliance, and they want to build 150 gigawatts by 2050. So a lot is going on in Europe outside of Germany, and Germany cannot maintain this anti-nuclear position forever. Things will change here too, and sooner or later, and Nuklearia's task is to do everything so that this change will happen, well, more sooner than later.
Wonderful. Of course, I really look forward to seeing the progress you make. Countries like Germany with a outright nuclear ban, Austria, who has it as part of their constitution, face this very difficult challenge. They are being asked to be responsible climate citizens, and they have refused. Recently, we saw a representative of Austria say that it was basically unfair that they are held to the same standard as nuclear-powered economies in Europe because they have a ban on nuclear. So it is a clear choice as a participant in the European Union, as a citizen of the planet. You must choose to allow nuclear energy, or you face condemnation as a climate denier. This has been the Ecomodernist Channel Live. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions. Thank you especially to Rainier Klute for being with us today. You can catch us every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on soyadl.tv. That'll take you straight to our Twitch channel, Soyadl. You can find us on Facebook at the Ecomodernist. Sorry, you can find us on Facebook at the Ecomodernist Society of North America. You can find us on YouTube at Ecomodernist 1 or the Ecomodernist channel, and many other places where live streams are broadcast. Thank you so much, and remember, emissions first, peace and justice will follow.
I want to speak to you about a new organization called the Ecomodernist Society of North America. I'm here because we are in the midst of a potentially monumental ecological crisis. It is only through a new environmentalism 2.0 that progress can be made. We believe that our only hope for human advancement and even human survival is through the exponential advance of science in the service of humanity. Ecomodernism is a new environmental paradigm which looks to reverse the fear of nuclear power and scientific progress in general. Ecology-based modernism is the most direct way to define it. Ecomodernism as a philosophy is described in the Ecomodernist Manifesto. We believe humanity should not be rejecting technological progress, but rather separate our impacts from nature through the responsible use of technology and urbanization. Urbanization is an unstoppable worldwide trend and the best solution to many environmental problems. It offers sustainable development for the human population and is a historic antidote to both deforestation and species extinction as humans move away from using wildlife as their protein source. Vertical, urban, high-rise architecture